Imagine having an AI-powered search engine for candidate profiles from across the open web and even from within your own ATS. Well, that's exactly what HireTool is. HireTool is a global talent platform that serves all recruiters, from small businesses to the world's largest enterprises. And with 750 million plus profiles from over 45 open web sources and channels and 30 plus integration partners, there's literally something for everyone. Recruiters can find more talent with AI sourcing, send unlimited emails, and integrate with your favorite recruitment tools all in one platform. If you're spending hours looking for qualified candidates, underrepresented talent, and updated contact information, then HireTool is probably what you need for your toolkit. HireTool is a platform that helps great recruiters accomplish more every single day. Check them out at hiretool.com. Hey, HR famous, it's Tim Sackett. We're back with another edition of the pod, the most listened to pod amongst our families. We can definitely say that. Number one. Actually, I can't say that because my wife listens to every crime podcast in the history of the world. She knows how to kill me and get rid of my body in so many ways. I just, all I do is hug her and buy her anything she wants because that's the way it's going to go.
Do you sleep with one eye open?
The dog sleeps between her and I now just to protect me. So he growls at her and I wake up and she's just standing there with a knife. No, she's Jessica Lee, Chris Dunn. How are you guys doing?
I am doing great. It feels good to be on the number one HR podcast that our family listens to. We got goals, bars that are high.
I feel pressure every time I come on, Jay, because I know you have like a brother-in-law or a sister or someone listening that I'm like, oh, I need to show them how like intelligent I am.
Shout out to Ubi. We call him Ubi. His name is Eugene. Shout out. He's going to hate that we're calling him Ubi. Shout out to Eugene.
Eugene. Is Eugene Korean? Is that a Korean name?
Well, the name is not Korean. He himself is Korean, and
I've never met a Korean named Eugene.
I know. You know what? Okay, 2 fun facts about Eugene.
Okay.
He's going to die that we're talking about him.
Yeah.
His family's from Canada, but they moved to Seattle, which is where we knew him growing up. They lived in the house that Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love owned, and where,
Kurt killed himself.
Yeah, but like his parents didn't know anything about who Nirvana was or anything. They just
That's
bought
amazing.
This house. And so they lived there, and there would be like years later, people would come and like set up shrines in front of the house and burning candles, and like these Korean people were like, "What's happening outside of our house?" They had no idea, and I just think that is wild that they lived in that house. Like, who would have thought? And then he listens to us. He drives back and forth between Ohio and the DC Metro. He works in Ohio, listens to us on the pod while he's driving back and forth.
He works in Ohio and lives in DC?
Yeah. He's a partner at a
holy crap, that's a commute and a half.
Yeah. But, he's got his calling in Ohio as an oncologist and does his thing.
Oh,
This is basically the UB episode. He's going to be
Eugene,
thrilled. He's going to be so excited.
Keep it between the lines out there, buddy. Don't. He probably has like a really nice car that has like self-driving. He's just like kicking back.
Oh no, you would love it. He drives one of those big trucks, like I don't know.
Oh, like I have like the Toyota Tundra.
Something like that. Something.
I bet we probably have the same truck. Eugene and I are so tied at the hip right now. Yes. KD, what do you have to say to Gene or Eugene?
I'd like pictures of the house.
I'm already calling him Gene. We're best friends.
I'd like pictures of the house. I'd like to know what the foyer looks like.
Oh, the inside?
That Cobain walked through.
Where the blood splatter is.
Can you imagine? I wonder if there were any remnants of the house, like from Courtney Love, drunk one night, swinging something around, right? And there's a nick, up, there's a big cut through ceiling to wall. It's like, no, that's where Courtney was swinging a guitar that she couldn't play.
Oh my gosh.
Those types of things.
Yeah.
So Eugene, hit us up. Let me know.
Yeah, that would be awesome to know. All right. Well, we're going to get off the Kurt Cobain train here. I'm going to start off with this because it's getting close to the holidays. And I actually was just out on Amazon because Probably as you're listening to this, I'm actually on a beach in Hawaii with my wife and family. I told my wife for our 25th wedding anniversary I would take her to Hawaii. It's her dream trip. We've never been. That was 4 years ago. And so now I'm taking her to Hawaii, and we're excited about that. But I had to get a couple books, and Katie has sent me a couple, but I'm kind of caught up, so I need to go out and get a couple on my own. So I went out and got a couple books, and then it got me thinking. Since Katie is a voracious reader, if you were going to give somebody a book for the holidays, what book would you give? Like, so I'll start Katie. I'll start with you because you read a lot and you have a lot of books. But is there a go-to book that you would say, this is a great gift book, I'm going to give it?
Tell me the target audience, Tim.
Oh, let's say I guess, so we could, yes, that's the part of it, right? Like part of it's depending on who you're going to give it to. If it's a friend or if it's a work person, like you tell me, just like, hey, I have a great book I would give to this person,
Yeah. So if it's someone, so you go nonfiction, fiction pretty quickly. I'm a big nonfiction person for the most part.
Me too.
So if it's somebody that reads a lot of fiction, I would defer to Angela Dunn. I would ask for a referral there. However, if it was somebody who could take nonfiction, I would probably start them off with one of two things. I would start them off with Conspiracy from Ryan Holiday, which is the story about how Hulk Hogan and other people, Peter Thiel, took down Gawker Media.
So great.
Fascinating story, regardless of how you feel about any of those people.
Well, and there's a tie recently to Portnoy and what Business Insider's doing with Dave Portnoy. Like, can you imagine Portnoy going down that path? Like, I don't think he has the personality as such to take the long-term view like Thiel did, but holy crap, he could really go after some people.
Yeah, I would. So I would probably start them off with that book. You enjoyed that book, right, Tim?
I did. It was a great book.
And then the other book I would probably go with, that maybe out of the business, that's a little bit of business world, right? Because it's talking about Gawker's approach to media. If it was a person that didn't want anything to do with the business world, I would have to go with American Kingpin, that I think I also sent you, Tim. That's the story of the hunt for the Silk Road founder. And Silk Road, for the uninitiated, was the kind of online dark web drug emporium that like started running guns and different stuff.
Yeah.
So it's the story of how they found him. And that one's really hard to put down.
That's a really good one as well. I like both of those.
Yeah.
Jay, what about you? What book you got? Are you looking at your shelf right now?
I am looking at my shelf. Well, so, during this whole pandemic, I've gotten into plants and botany, and I have become pretty good at becoming a plant parent. And so there's actually this book called Plant Therapy, which sounds so ridiculous, but it has like pretty pictures of plants and like things that you can do in your home. So that could be one option. But for like others from like a business perspective, I'm starting to dig into this book called Act Like a Leader, Think Like a Leader. And I actually think it's just really good, like practical, action-oriented perspectives on leadership that's not like all woo-woo up in the headspace. And so this might be the book. You're welcome,
Nice.
Hereminia Ibarra.
There you go. Shout out to that. I would go with, there's a book I like. It's a quick read. I think it gives something to everybody. It's called The Talent Fix. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think you saw that one coming. I was like, what is he going to say?
No, I don't even think KD probably knows this of me. So like, I came from divorced parents, and I think any kid of a divorced parents gets fucked up in a lot of ways. And so when I was in college, I think I had to deal with a lot of that and saw a therapist. And the therapist I saw she was amazing, helped me out a lot. And she got me onto an author called, and there's a PhD, a guy was Leo Buscaglia. He's dead. He's been gone for a long time. But so he's considered the doctor of love, basically. And there's a tenet that I live by, which is, and this is from Leo, which is, I don't love to be loved in return. I love to love. So like, I love KD and I love you, Jessica, as friends. I love you guys. if you didn't love me in return, I would be fine with that. Like, I mean, it's great to be loved in return. It feels awesome. It's very fulfilling. And so I love our relationships that we have, but it's not what I live for. And I think so often people go, oh, I'm going to love somebody because I have to be loved in return. So there's a book that he has
back. Yes.
There's a book that he has called Living, Loving, and Learning, which it's amazing. It was written like in the early 90s or late 80s or something like that, but it's still amazing. And I think it just offers something to a lot of people. And again, it might be sappy for some folks, but I love that book. And I've given that as a gift for a lot of people over the years. But
JLee, my next book is titled "It's Okay If I Love You a Little Less." is going to be the title of it. Hey, by the way, too, JLee,
Katie was really quiet during that. He's like, "Oh my God, what is going on here?"
By the way,
like so affirmations of love flying out of Tim's mouth.
Shout out to therapy sessions, by the way. And I'm imagining Tim, like in his first one, just to try and kind of ease into it. He does this great scene from Step Brothers where he sits down and, the therapist says, "Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself." It's like, "Well, I'm a janitor at a community college. I'm really good at math. And, I write an equation on a whiteboard and I can just solve it." And the therapist in Step Brothers says, "Is this Goodwill Hunting?" Because it sounds like Goodwill Hunting.
By the way, speaking of giving gifts of books, I gave a book once to someone on my team. I chose a different book for each person on the team. I chose business books, and I gave them a book each that I thought would be good for where they were in life or something that I thought reflected them. And this guy, he is like this really sharp person I still work with. I think the world of him. I gave him this book. He opens it up and he comes to me later and he says, "You know what's really funny?" He said, "I'm referenced in this book." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, I did like my master's study doing blah, 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 blah." And he was like, "Look, I'm cited in this book." He said, "You didn't even know that about me, but I'm in this book." And I was like, "You're a baller, man, that we don't even know this about you. You're referencing this book about grit." And I was like, hats off. You are like a baller of a man. Love it.
Hey,
the other books that I give to are any Gladwell books. I love Gladwell. So I think those are all great ones too, because he's such a great storyteller. Katie, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, just for the people listening to this, if you're building a list, and this might be something that I gift both of you for Christmas, there's a writer who does fiction, but he does it around mostly pop culture, but also corporate culture. His name is Douglas Copeland. He's out of Vancouver, and he's written things, and I've read 3 of these. Generation X is one that he wrote. He wrote Microsurfs, which is really kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing about the culture at Microsoft. And then he wrote my favorite one, which I've gifted like multiple times, is called JPod, which is like a gaming company. It's a fictional thing, a gaming company based in Vancouver. And JPod refers to the pod of 6 developers that are all working there. And it kind of blends in their life, like with what they're working on. Super cool stuff from Douglas Copeland.
Awesome. There you go.
Yeah.
Gift ideas for books, people. It's never a bad thing to give a book for the holidays. I think, like Jay, I think it's hard though when you start giving books to people, and you because people will like self-internalize, like, why didn't you give me this one?
And don't forget it. It's okay if I love you a little less, coming in June 2022.
I don't love you as much as you love me, and it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. We're okay is my book coming out in April of 2022. All right, let's go to the first topic. I wrote a post that's out there, and it was really more of a what would happen if. And so if you think about how difficult it is right now to hire somebody, like Jay, think about every franchise hotel that you have, and they have 15 openings, and they need a front desk. They need, people to clean rooms. They need everything.
I don't know about you, but I don't know very many people that are hopeful about the world of work. And I'd like to change that. My name's Marcus Mossberger, and I started the Hope at Work podcast, where you'll find 2 things. Number 1, really interesting guests. And number 2, innovative ideas about the future of work. Check it out.
What if we were to let our normal employees just make a hire? So let's set the scenario. We're going to go to our employees, let's say, and we probably can't do it. Let's say you only had 10 openings. You can't go to 100 people and say, everybody hire somebody. But let's say somehow you could figure out hey, for our top 10 highest performing employees, we're going to go to them. We're going to bring them in a room and say, look, here's what we're going to let you do. No questions asked. Here's the job. We're going to let you go out and hire somebody on your own. You can bring in a friend, family member. You can bring whatever you want. You can bring a homeless person, and we don't care. We're going to let you hire. Now if we have drug testing or if we have background checks, they got to pass those, but we're not going to ask for an application or a resume or any of that stuff. We're going to let you hire a person. KD, I'll start with you. Where does that, my question is does that work? Could it work? Does it fall apart? Let's kind of dig into this and break it down.
Yeah, I think it would be super interesting to take a population. You have to have a big one too, right? You need at least 500 people and do a test on that and see what would happen. Because I think the first question that has to be answered is if people are responsible for the hiring decision. We already do this to a lighter degree with referral programs. Yeah. We also do it to a lighter degree with inexperienced hiring managers who are doing anywhere from hire number 1 to hire number 5. This already happens a little bit, but what you described takes it to the next level. And the test would be, do people filter harder than they do in a referral program if they're bringing it in? Everybody has to deal with it, and the accountability for the decision goes to them, right?
Well, yeah, and I think you could add in caveats too of saying, based on success or failure, you either lose your ability to hire again or you gain maybe an extra one, right? Let's say at 90-day you do, performance reviews and someone's a rock star that you hired, then, hey, we're going to give you another golden ticket. You get to go hire another one, kind of thing. I don't know. It's just kind of it's a thought exercise, right? So Jay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Katie,
go ahead. I was just going to say, Jessica, come in after this. I just think it's super interesting. To a certain extent, we try and do this with the old adage, Jessica, everybody's a hiring manager. Or I'm sorry, everybody's a recruiter is the better way to say that, right? And we generally mean that for hiring managers. But, I mean, really, that's kind of the slogan, right? Everybody's a recruiter. It's just interesting.
And the one big difference is, we always everyone's oh, we have an employee referral program, but then you take someone's referral and then you put them through your crappy process and interviews and you don't give feedback and it just becomes a nightmare versus Tim going over across the street to his buddy, Chris, and saying, hey, Chris, let's work together. I already have you don't even have to interview. You just show up on Monday. We'll train you. It's going to be great. And we get to work together. That's a completely different kind of thing. And I think in today's world where we're companies are desperate to hire, why wouldn't somebody try this out? Jessica, tell me why.
Well, I think they could try it out. And what I would envision is it's only going to take that normal person one bad hire for them to realize, oh, maybe I don't want to just hire my friends or anybody like that. And that the hiring really matters, right? Because you just make one bad hire and then you have to live with that person and that experience, and you realize what a bad fit looks like, or you realize, when someone doesn't have the right experiences and just what a miserable experience it is to have to work with someone like that. It should only take once where you're I'm a normal person. I've been given this authority and this power to hire. I made a bad hire. They're going to start making good hires after that. So in some ways, I actually think it's it underscores the importance and the value of solid hiring, because haven't we all been there of making a bad hire?
Well, we all talk about constantly about how our employees want to work with. I mean, they're ultimately, the culture is built around, I want to work with other people that I like to work with, right? And so, that's one of the reasons why we do so much referral hiring, or we want to try to do more referral hiring. At the same time, we push referral hires through the exact same process that we push external hires through, versus saying, why don't we just eliminate all the middle steps and ground and just say, hey, bring them in. Again, assuming we can't bring in, someone that's high on heroin and have them run a high-low. Like, I mean, there's certain safety protocols, right, and things we have to do to follow. But I think if we eliminate as much of that as we can and say, how do we make it easy for an employee to do this? So Kitty, you said you're like, hey, it has to be a big kind of test. I actually think like small organizations could test, right? Like if you went and said, hey, we're going to try this with 10 people and let them hire the first 10 people and we'll just kind of measure it and see what happens. I think you could do some really, I mean, I'm with you. I would love to see 100,000 person company try it with 1,000 people and let's really see the data. Like, I think that would be amazing. But I think how empowered would you feel as a 21-year-old or a 23-year-old or whatever, a 50-year-old for the first time in your life as an individual contributor, you get to actually hire somebody. I think it could be a really cool experiment.
I think what we would learn is kind of follow up with what Jessica outlined is I think people would feel the burn when they miss. And I don't know that it would automatically result in better hires. I think it would result in a lot of people giving up after they feel the shame of bringing somebody who wasn't effective for politically correct way to say it. I also think we might be surprised, Tim, and maybe this is my pitch for a bigger test rather than a smaller test. We think about referral programs, right? We've got like, I'll give you the three flavors of people who refer. One, the really effective people that bring you good people all the time. B, the people who refer, but it's not very good. Like, related to the people. And then probably 70 to 80% of the world doesn't do anything. Yeah. So we might be surprised that a lot of people say, well, I didn't really sign up for that and I'm not going to do that. By the way, it probably follows like engagement scores a little bit. And I'm not going like high in the sky on you with like engagement surveys and things like that. But the more engaged you are, the more you want to refer people. By the way, this sounds a lot like, what's the term from Tony at Zappos, holacracy?
Mm-hmm. It is a little bit like that, right?
It sounds a lot like holacracy, right? Hey, we're just doing this. Like, it's wild because you don't have to check off. We've got an open job. You want to hire somebody, go do it.
Yeah, there's definitely a piece to it. I think that, just, kind of brainstorming out loud, I do think that there's a lot of, ability here to kind of have, I just like to, again, it gets back to, like you said, Katie, like if you think of like, if I have an employee advocacy program and I have 25 or 50 or 100 employee advocates, like how great would it be to go out there and say, hey, we're going to test this with you as an employee advocacy member of our team. We're going to allow you to hire somebody. I think it gets more difficult as we get into like positions that are, higher skill sets or leadership sets, stuff like that, where somebody goes, well, wait a minute, I'm not going to let Tim hire someone that's going to report to me kind of thing, So I think you have to figure out, is there certain positions we can, carve out? I do think what we would find is that our employees would probably hire people that they know could do the job if they were taught or trained. And they're probably going to hire people that we would never give them a chance to get hired based on their resume or their application. Yeah. They would go, oh, well, this person can't do this job because they don't have this background. And you're going to be like, I didn't either. Like, I can teach this person how to do this job and they're going to be effective. And we might find some really great talent by doing that. I think we see this with Google and Facebook right now, going away from formal education and more skill-based hiring, right? Like, it's like, hey, is there certain skills that make you successful for certain jobs? If there are, how about we go down that path versus, oh, you graduated from Harvard, so you must be awesome.
I love that. I've been telling people this story lately about when I first interviewed to go to Marriott. There was a TA person who's no longer with the company who I had to interview with, and she looked at my resume and she said, you're not the typical person we actually usually interview and hire around here. And I was like, oh, why is that? And she's like, oh, well, like, we typically like people who come from like big brands and like, and she was saying that I hadn't worked in a Fortune company, a big brand before. I didn't have the pedigree of like a degree in education that other people had. And she actually said, like, did someone refer you? You must have known someone. And I was like, well, yeah, I actually did know someone. That's how I got referred over. but hopefully we can talk about my experiences. And, but like it never, I'm still stuck with that story 10 years later, where she just was not impressed with what was on paper. But I've outlasted her, and clearly I've done okay for myself. But it was really about like the skills and experiences I had, not literally the jobs, the companies, the education. And man, we have some hiring managers and recruiters out there
are still stuck on that pedigree.
Yeah, which is so sad.
Yeah.
Blocking behavior. So if Tim's experiment did anything, it would provide an opportunity to remove blocking behavior.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you might be shocked that maybe it continues, right? Because if you got hired with that kind of pedigree, then you're probably wanting to hire, maybe you want to hire somebody with the same pedigree. You don't know, right?
Yeah, but to your point, Tim, the story you told is, you didn't tell a story, but you made a reference to the fact that, hey, you've got to have this background and do this experience. That's more probably knowledge, skills, and ability than it is pedigree. But the person in the role that didn't have that before, didn't have very much of it, like to your point, automatically knows that. It's like, no, we can teach them, because I've seen all the behaviors. Yep. And this is somebody who can be successful at our company, and away we go. I wonder if you would get, I think the big question for me, Tim, is would you get more or less hires than a traditional referral program, like doing something like this? Assuming you incented people.
I think you make a good point. For some people, this is a reward. For some, it would be, they would feel disciplined, right? They would feel like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. I never want to do this. I don't want to hire
accountability.
That's not why I'm here. Yeah. Right. So I think you would have to really be careful on who you kind of hand those golden tickets to for this ability. But I think it could be an interesting thought experiment, especially for those companies out there that are really struggling. Like, you have nothing to lose at this point. Maybe it makes a difference. I do think, I think about my own team, and there's certain individuals that love being a part of the brand. They love the culture. They love being a part of here. And when they come to me and say, hey, I have somebody that I think is good, I don't even need to interview. I really wouldn't. I mean, I do interview them, but I don't need to. I'm like, no, bring them in. Like, if you are that bought into them and you're such a great employee, like, I trust that you're going to refer somebody that's going to be great. Why are we going to go through the whole rigmarole unless the individual wants that, right? But they've already really been talked into it through the employee. Okay, let's. I want to pivot and talk about an experience that happened, because I tend to do that. So you guys know producer Cam, my middle son. He is in the job market and has been interviewing and has accepted a job. Got a great offer from a great company, good brand, going to stay in New York City. We're super excited and happy for him. And through this, he comes right to Dad and says, hey, here's the offer. Here's the, the letter and the money and, the stock options and the whole thing. And then he's like, should I negotiate? And I'm like, of course you should. So, I mean, if you think about August and September, the amount of individuals that have resigned out of positions, the turnover that's happening, like, you are like, for one of the few times in your life, you might be in a position that you should negotiate. At the same time, this was a really good job with a really good offer. So he doesn't really have to negotiate, but anything extra was great. Right. So we kind of came up with a story of, how to go after it and what he should do. I will tell you guys, as soon as he did this, now the recruiter from the company that he was going to, basically, I thought did a kind of a pretty good power move, which is she had already put bumpers on him. KD, you'll love that, because he had kind of said, hey, what do you want? What's the offer with me?
Shout out to bumpers in the art of framing and recruiting.
So he had given her a range, and she got him into that to the higher end of that range. And so then when he came back and said, hey, it's not enough, she immediately went back to the bumper conversation and was like, I'm confused. Why do we need to? I thought we had agreed to blah blah blah.
Tim, can I jump in?
Yeah.
What she didn't do, I bet, I would love for you to ask, if you don't know, is I bet she didn't present the verbal offer in a hard framing type way, referring to the earlier conversation.
No, nope.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
she could have.
She lost control at that point.
Yeah, she could have got into. She could have got in Cam's head a little bit.
Yes.
And made him more nervous about what you were recommending by saying, "Hey, Cam, great news. You know, you had mentioned you needed this. Wow, did I go to the wall? Like I've been working."
Yeah.
And,
by the way, she did say that in the second email that she had went
second's
and
too late.
Yeah.
All right, go, Tim. Sorry, I had to jump in there though, right?
No, that's great. Yeah,
she missed a step.
Yes. So, anyways, so he decides to go back and try to play the negotiation game. As soon as he did, I felt like this overwhelming feeling of dread because I'm 99.9% sure that the offer will not get pulled, but I'm not 100% sure. It could. Now I'm playing like, hey, the environment, the number of openings they have, the difficulty in finding talent, blah, blah, blah. I'm going through my head and going, okay. But it's not 100%. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be the biggest ass in the world if he goes and starts negotiating on a good offer. And they basically go, you know what? We made a mistake. You're not the guy. And then I'm going to have to live with that. And I was like, and then so anyways, long story short, it would end up being a successful negotiation. He got more, and he was super excited and super happy. I was super relieved. And so shout out to the parents out there that all believe your kid should be negotiating hard on offers. Understand that there's very few times, and Katie, you and I had kind of talked about this, more than likely there's no consequence. But if there is, oh man, that's bad.
Jessica, come in here on this question and take it anywhere you want to go.
Yes.
What are the number of situations out of every 100 situations that happen that go down the way that Tim described it with a candidate? How many managers walk away and either go to another candidate or just continue the search? What's your take? And Tim, I've thought about this since we talked. Go, Jessica.
I think less than 10%, for sure. Less than 10%. It might be for me. I don't think it's a big number.
So I guessed 1 in 25.
Yeah, Jessica, and I was 1 in 100.
Gets you to 4%. Now, Tim, here's what I'll tell you. Like in my eyes, and Jessica, react to this. I think you should be nervous because I don't think it's 1 in 100. Because I went back and thought about it. I went to like our second biggest client. Yeah. And I've seen 3 of these in the last month. Now, what I will tell you is the hiring managers in those situations are 100% in the wrong based on like what the circumstances were and what the market is. And the hiring managers in question even did this in highly technical positions. I would tell Tim, Jessica, that he had more risk than normal because Cam is early career.
Yeah.
And is in a market, while it may be hot, that is not super, super restrictive. What do you think, Jessica?
No, I think that's right. I was trying to reflect on my experiences as a recruiter and the number of times I had pulled back an offer in a negotiation. And I think that it's pretty small, and the circumstances under which it happened were usually the negotiation got really weird and like there was poor behavior on the candidate's part, where it wasn't actually about the negotiation itself. It was the behavior that was being demonstrated, where it was like, I got some red flags here. This does not bode well for how they may be as an employee. Yeah. And it became a good excuse to say like, you know what? I'm not sure this is going to work out. And like, you feel like, oh, I dodged a bullet with that one. I think that it's rare that would ever be about the actual negotiation itself, unless it was like, or the number itself, unless they were completely entitled but that's more about just like the behavior and what you're worried about the person might be like.
I will say like, so one of the things that, I coached Cam on was, hey, first and foremost, you have to be like very cordial and thankful, like in letting that and using language around, I'm excited to be starting with the team. So you're telling them that you're going to accept. You're not playing hard negotiation.
Yeah.
And then you're coming to them and saying, hey, I'm going to miss out on some things, right? Like I have a year-end bonus or I have whatever, right? And that I would love to stay whole. And so you're giving them an opportunity to do the right thing, but if they don't feel like you're probably going to walk away either. So we were trying to make this a soft negotiation with high probability of success. Katie, I think the recruiter, if I was the recruiter's manager, I would have said, hey, where you messed up was, you should have said like the first thing, like, hey, I went hard and fought for you to the high end.
We're sending the verbal. And like, don't come back to me.
And we're not going to be able to do anything. This is the best we can do. And he would have accepted, Yeah.
And I mean, that sounds like a miss, right? And this is art, like more than science.
For sure.
But
yes, exactly.
And it doesn't mean that a candidate still can't come back. You're just trying to reduce the probability that they will. And you should feel good about that as a recruiter. If you got to the high end of a stated range, you should feel great about it. You should own it, but you should box hard, like on the verbal side. Jessica, can you imagine if this offer falls through, what Mrs. Sackett says to Tim? She's like, talent fix my you-know-what, right?
So, Katie, that never would have happened because I never had that conversation with Kim to let her know I was telling my kid to negotiate. And so that negotiation happened without her knowledge, and all she knew was the successful part of what was happening. But if we got it turned down, I'm sure Cam would have went back to her. So, that would have been a nightmare.
Nightmare. Happy wife.
Nightmare.
Happy life.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'm going to get out with that. Think about that, parents, when you're telling your kid, because I think every parent, especially the older parents you tend to like, oh, well, I always negotiated offers and you need to negotiate. Be careful. It's so stressful because if the kid doesn't get the job, like you feel like the biggest heel in the world. I got lucky, fingers crossed. Cam's got a great company and a great job, and we're super excited for him. Plus, he'll still be the producer of the pod, so we love that. All right, HR Famous, we're out of here.
Congratulations, Cam. Congratulations, Cam.
Yeah, congrats.
Get out there and test letting your employees hire on their own. See what happens. Let us know. If it's a total like falls apart, don't let us know. If it's great, then come on the pod. We'll bring you as a guest and we can share. Just kidding. We'll bring you on either way. All right, HR Famous, we're out of here. For Chris Dunn, Jessica Lee, I'm Tim Sackett. See you next week.